What's up, my 11 YouTube friends? Let's build a monoblock. First monoblock build in the shop. We're going to build one. I'm no expert on them, but I have read a few things about them. And the main concern with them was oiling. Let me have a sip of my coffee. I'm still on coffee. Oiling. Oiling issues was the big problem. And especially in like 95, when the 600s came out, we had a lot of oiling issues on them. And the main reason was the oil passage right here that oiled that PTO bearing. The casting was so filled in right there that it was hardly getting any oil out to that bearing, and that was their main crank failure in 95 was because of that. And then they went to the fourth oil line. I'm not sure what year this was, 97, 98. They added the fourth line out here. So that kind of cured that problem there. But in 95, they had casting issues where that hole was plugged up from the factory, from being casted. I took, and this is just me, if it's right or wrong, but this is what I did. I took a small chamfer bit, and I thought I had it out here still, but I took a small chamfer and I just chamfered the top of all the oil holes right here. I don't see what it can hurt. Help funnel that oil down into where it needs to go, down to those bearings. I bead blasted everything really good. I took and blew everything out really good with air. Cleaned up my gaskets. I'm ready to install a crank. This is what my preferred tool for cleaning off gaskets. It lays nice and flat, and you can just kind of carve the gasket material off. I missed a little piece there, but this thing works really good. I like using these utility knives for cleaning my gaskets and stuff. So let's smear some gasket material on it and put the crank in. There's not a lot to really talk about other than just how I'm going to assemble it. I use plenty of oil, and I use some white lithium grease too on a few of the things. And I mean, like I said, if it's right or wrong, I don't know. But this is how I do it. This is how I've done all my engines, and I have about 98% success with my engine builds. I would never ever say 100%. I have had a couple go on me, and it was assembly error or mechanical. One or the other, but it does happen, it has happened, and it will happen. I'm convinced it's going to happen again. So just going to use some tight bond, zero clearance gasket maker on the case halves. These are two machined surfaces, so these seal up pretty nice. So I'll finish this up and I'll get you back here in a few minutes. All right, I got my new OEM Tom Gara crank here that I'm going to put in. And I'm going to add a little bit of extra oil wherever I can. And one spot I can is right here. I can put a little extra oil in this outer bearing. I don't think it hurts. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I can do it, so I'm going to do it. Seal. I like to put a little bit of lithium grease in the backside of the seal. As soon as my grease comes out like grease, I just put a little on the backside of it. And I like to grease the inside of the seal nice too. Put a little oil on the end of this one too. I put that seal on that side first to try and keep the oil from just running out when I tip it up like this. Again, just a little grease in the backside back here. And a little bit of grease in here. This is per Polaris parts manual here, or service manuals, to put grease in there. And then I like to grease the drive gear for the oil pump. Then I already rotated most of the bearings so that all the pins are facing upwards. So when you drop it in, you don't end up sitting down on one of the locating pins on the crank. And I'm putting the crank in backwards. Spin it around. Struggles are real some days. They definitely are. And just rotate all your pins down into the flat spots. Trenton's off camera working on the sleds right now, and they are looking amazing. Oh my God, they're really coming together. They're looking amazing. We'll stick all our bolts in here. All right, I'm just going to lightly run them in with my impact, lightly. I'll bring you back in a few. All right, 18 foot-pounds of torque. I got my book out here to show me the sequence in how to torque them. So, start here with 1. And I'm not going to come all the way down. I'm just going to go a little ways on them. Some of them I might click out on, but I'm not going to try. It's basically a crisscross pattern. Sometimes you can get lost in it. I'll show you this and then I'll bring you back to the torquing. But here's the torque sequence right here. Hope you can see that okay. So I went around 3 times, torqued everything at 18 foot-pounds. Yep, so that's all torqued. Doesn't hurt to keep going around a few times. Make sure you didn't lose your position and miss one. So that's why I go around 3 times. And if I go around 3 times and everything clicks off, I know I hit them all. So let's put the oil pump drive in. I like to put a little grease on the oil pump on the guide pin here and on the gear again. Slide that in. Then there's a little thrust washer that goes on there. That on. Dig the oil pump O-ring out of our gasket set back here. They come with one, so you might as well put it in. I don't see why it'd be bad, but it doesn't hurt to put it in. Scrape some crusties. I did put new oil lines on here, and you can see there's oil in here because I stuck this into an oil jug and spun it with a drill. You spin it reverse spin it, and that'll suck the oil in. So I got some priming going on, but when I go to fire up the engine for the first time, first of all, I have plenty of oil in the engine when I'm assembling them. And I pre-mixed my first tank of gas also, but my first initial fire-ups, I'll take and lift up the oil pump lever to get a lot of oil coming up right away. So just take and line this up in there. I want to say one thing. When I was taking this engine apart, I heard there was a lot of people on the other end watching going, no! When I put my impact driver on to take the screws out of the stator plate. And to my defense, I've done that over 100 times and never once had it fail. And it did. It slipped. It slipped, and Water Pump Tim was here, and he saved me on this deal. So I'm going to tell you this little trick he showed me. So we took a flat punch like this. The screw was not going to come out unless we did something different to it. He says, hammer it flat. So I took the flat punch, hammered the head of the screw that was in there, hammered the head flat to get the stars back. And he said, being it's a number 3 Phillips, he said, take a number 2 square drive. Voila, it fits in the center of it. And he says, now get on it good. And boom, it popped loose, came right out. So you'll see the square drive will fit right in. Here's a one that hasn't been messed up at all. The number 2 square drive, it fits tight into this one. That one's a little loose because, like I said, that screw head was gone. But we saved it with punching that thing back in flat like that, and then using a number 2 square drive instead of the Phillips. So it's just a little trick in case you strip a screw. There is hope still before you totally strip the screw. So just wanted to share that with you guys. That's how we did get that screw out. So I'm going to pause for a minute, and I'm going to do a couple other things, and I'll bring you back. All right, I think we'll stick the stator plate on, and we'll conclude this video. I spent a solid 10 minutes taking the keyway out of the old crankshaft, and I don't know why. You just can't get a keyway with the new crankshaft. And then you send your crankshaft out to get redone. It never comes back with the keyway, it seems like. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But yeah, it sucked trying to get that key out. And I don't like it. So I'm going to line my stator back up with the timing marks inside of here, where it was in previously. As I get the plug through the hole. Right up at the top of the case up here, there's a mark on the stator, and then there's a little V in the top of the case up here. Just line those two up on this particular, on an XLT. There's some different ones that have a couple different, and we'll go through that. And my next engine build is going to be an Ultra engine. And some of the stators had 2 marks, and we can talk about those 2 marks. And there's a little bit of controversy on it, a little bit, but I'll just let you know the way I do it. And I mean, it's been working, so that's all I can share. So I'll bring you back in a few minutes here. All right, let me wrap this up now. I got the stator on. I put the flywheel on. I put my nut and washer on just loosely, just finger tight for right now, because once I get the cylinders and the pistons and everything on and the heads, I'll show you how to drop a rope down the cylinder to hold everything so you can torque that. There's other methods to hold it too, but that's how I'm going to do it. So I just took a paint pen, marked a line across everything to remind me to go back to torque that nut. I've gotten darn near to the point of putting a recoil housing on and remembered I didn't torque the nut. So that's just a reminder for me. So what I'm gonna do is, now that everything's together, I'm going to take and put a little bit more oil across the top of across the rods right here, just to add a little bit more oil down in there. There, and then I'm gonna drip some right down in those oiling holes we talked about early too. Drip some oil into there, so there's immediate oil into the bearings on initial fire up. So that is all I'm going to go through on this part, just the bottom end. So the torque on those bottom bolts were all 18 foot-pounds. The Ultra Base engines, they have some bigger bolts that get torqued to 25, but the XLT monoblock, all of them are the same size bolts, so 18 foot-pounds. This is the pattern again. I'll show you the pattern it looks at. Looks like I got oil in my book. Here's the pattern right here. Hope you can see that okay. So you could maybe take a screenshot of that or something, but that's the pattern. 18 foot-pounds of torque on all the bolts. So that's where we'll stop for now, and I'm going to do another video on the pistons and cylinder. And the cylinder is ported, and I'll show a little bit of it. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the next one.